channel. My name is Megan. If you are new here, I am a type 1 diabetic and a mama to my sweet 6-month-old girl, Nora. The whole goal of my channel is to help you find balanced mind, body, and blood sugars. Today I wanted to actually talk about my own diabetes and do a quick recap of the endo appointment that I had about a week and a half ago. And kind of like being 6 months postpartum, and just like recapping sort of where I'm at with my diabetes and postpartum and all of those things. So if you follow along on my Instagram, I talk a lot about how just kind of like wild my blood sugars have been in postpartum. It's kind of like being diagnosed all over again and like having to figure out all of your blood sugar doses, basal, bolus, like everything has to be refigured out again, and your hormones are just crazy, and so it's basically like starting over with diabetes. So I've been trying to handle that over the last 6 months. So yeah, I haven't had as great of control as I would have liked to since I've had my daughter, and I am in the process of hopefully getting things a little bit more on track. So at my endo appointment, it was exactly 6 months since having Nora. So 6 months postpartum, and then they usually say postpartum is like the whole year after you've had your baby. So I'm about halfway through my postpartum journey. And we reviewed my blood sugars using T-Connect because I use the T-Slim pump. And I will say that that makes it so easy to review blood sugars, especially with your endo, because they can just like pull it up and see everything. So it's like really quick and easy. And then I also don't have to do like blood sugar logs and like write everything down. 1 second, Nora is stuck. Are you stuck? Yeah. You're gonna come over here. Okay. So T-Connect makes it really easy to review everything, and like I don't have to write it down and review logs like I was saying. So we use T-Connect to find kind of like patterns for where my blood sugar was going off, and we found that I'm usually pretty stable from like midnight to noon. So like most of the night I'm pretty good, and then breakfast bolusing I have pretty well down. Like my blood sugars are pretty much like a flat line, and then from about noon to midnight things kind of just like go haywire. So that tells me, or told us, that like my lunch and my dinner bolus or something is going wrong like in those 2 meals and like snacks during that time period. So when we looked at making any changes, and like when I focus on how I'm going to make the next few months better, I'm focusing, Nora's saying hi. So when I think about how like I want to make my blood sugars better, I'm going to focus on the noon to midnight time period, and specifically meals and snacks during that time. So we did check my A1c. Before I had Nora and all during pregnancy, I was in the 5%, and my A1c at this appointment was 6.5. So I know a lot of people like to compare A1Cs and use it as like, how good of a diabetic are you? I don't particularly like doing that. I don't think A1C tells the whole story, because you can be someone who's like high and like low and just like this all the time and still have a decent A1C. So I don't think it tells the whole story, but I'm just sharing it as like a measuring tool, because I go back to the endo in December and I'm hoping to have a lower A1C. So I'm sharing my starting point. I'm going to share my journey for how I lower it, and then I'm hoping in December when we check again, it'll be lower. So my starting point is 6.5. And then my plan moving forward to get that to be a little bit lower and my blood sugars a little bit more under control is, like I said, focusing from noon to midnight of being more stable. To do that, there's a few goals I've set and like a few ways to go about it. One thing that I'm starting with is correct carb counting, and like being as specific as I can, like actually looking at labels, maybe measuring things out sometimes. I think I was kind of like just haphazardly guessing and have been a little bit off. Hi, sweetie. Are you stuck? So not always super accurate on my carb counting, which was impacting my blood sugars. So that's one goal, to be as accurate as I can when it comes to counting my carbs. Another thing that I'm doing to help keep my blood sugars more stable is eating at home a little bit more. So being a new mom, Nora's very talkative today. Being a new mom, we were doing like a lot of takeout or going to grab dinner quick because I just either was like too tired or just too busy to cook or something. And I found that my sugars are more stable when I cook at home. When you eat out, there's a lot of like extra fat and proteins and higher carb generally. I know you can pick lower carb, more blood sugar friendly options, but I wasn't. So definitely eating at home is going to be a goal over the next couple of months. I don't want to always be so strict on that, but just over the next few months when I'm trying to lower my A1C and have a little bit more stability, and also like make sure that my ranges in my pump are correct, the best way to do that is going to be to eat a little bit more frequently at home and do a little bit more cooking myself. That also helps with carb counting because I have everything in front of me and I know exactly what's going into each dish, so I can be a little bit more accurate on the carb counting. And then the last thing I'm gonna do is just make sure I'm pre-bolusing that 15 minutes ahead of eating. That's hard as a new mom because sometimes it's like you just have to eat when you can. Hold on, I'm gonna grab her. Nora, do you just want to be on camera? You just want to be on camera? Yeah, come here. Come here. Okay. So, the last thing I'm going to do is pre-bolus that 15 minutes before eating as frequently as I can. So, yes, I know. Very chatty. Just to make sure that I'm giving that insulin enough time to work, because too often I was like plugging in my pump, like what I was eating, and then just like starting to eat right away. And that lets the food absorb sooner than the insulin, so then you have like this spike and the insulin's like always trying to catch up and it's just harder. So getting ahead of that food absorption and letting the insulin have time to work is going to be important in bringing down my A1C. So really just 3 things: trying to eat at home a little bit more often, make sure I'm correctly counting my carbs, and then pre-bolusing. I'm using those 3 tools to hopefully over the next few months lower my A1C, and then I'm going to share as much of that as I can, and I go back to the endo in December, so that will be like the moment of truth, whether I really like lowered my A1C. But obviously over the next few months I'll really know if things are working or not by seeing more stable blood sugars, hopefully. So I am planning to share my journey with that over the next few weeks and months. So if that is something that you want to follow along with, please subscribe to my channel, and I will see you next week.